Hello everyone, welcome back. So in the previous video we implemented the user profile section, and in this video we're gonna implement the edit profile functionality. So now we're gonna design our edit profile screen, and before we do that let me just copy and paste the styles for this screen, because if I just try to type every style this will make this video very longer. So let me paste these styles here. Okay, so these are the styles we're gonna use for this screen. Mostly these are similar to the user profile section. So let's create a view and give this a style of container. And inside this we're gonna have a scroll view. So let's give this a style of flex one. And here we can just import our header component for our edit profile screen. And we're gonna give this a title of edit profile, like this. And if I close this and save this, okay, so we have an error. So we need to import this wp, this hp function, and I think we also need to import our theme object. Yes, so let's save this, and now we can see we have a nice header on the profile screen. So for the container we have the following styles, and now let's add a form. So let's create a view and give this a style of form. Then let's create an avatar container for the user image. So let's give this a style of avatar container, and inside this let's use the expo image. So here is the expo image, just import it and give this a source of the user image. So we're gonna add the image source later, but for now let's give this a style of avatar. So for the image source we need to get the user data from our auth context, like this. And let's create the image source. For now we're gonna use the get user image source function, and we're gonna pass the user dot image, but later we're gonna use the local image. So we'll replace this inside the image source variable. Now let's give this container a background of white, and now we're gonna create a camera icon on this image. So this will let user know that he can press on this icon and choose the image from the gallery. So let's create our icon and name this as camera. Then the size will be 20, and let's give this a stroke width of 2.5. Let's save this. So there we can see the camera icon, but let's give it a style of camera icon from our style sheet, and now it's placed accordingly. So this has a position of absolute and has some shadow properties same as the edit icon in the user profile section. So now when we click on this button it will open image pick model. So let's just create this function here, and we will implement this later, but for now let's just leave it empty like this. And let's move to the next. So now let's create a form, and first we're gonna have a text. So let's give this a font size of hp 1.5, and the color will be the text color from our theme, and this will say please fill your profile details. Then we're gonna have a name input so that user can update his name. So let's import our input component from the components folder, and let's give this an icon, and we can use our icon component. Let's use the username, sorry, user icon, and let's close it. Then we are gonna have a placeholder property. This will say enter your name. Let's leave the value empty for now, and let's use an empty function on change text function. So let's just close it and save it. Let's use null for now. Okay, so we can see the input. Now let's create a state for all the user values. So let's create user and set user, and this will have a value of an object with the following properties: name and the phone number, image as null, and bio and the address. So now we have two users, so let's change this to current user. And we also need to change this user.image to current user like this. Actually we don't need to do this, so let's just change this to user.image, and we're gonna set the user values in the use effect hook. So whenever we open this screen and we have the values for the current user, we will check this, and we will also add this to the dependency array. And whenever we have the current user values, we will set the user values based on the current user. So name will be a current user dot name or an empty string. So same for the phone number, current user dot phone number or an empty string. Image will be current user dot image or null, and same for the address and the bio. So now this will set the user with the current user values, and this will show the user image. So let's save this, and now we can use this user name into the name input. So value will be user dot name, and here we will set the user with all the rest of the user properties. Then name will be this value, and if I save this, you will see the current username. So let's just copy this input for the phone number, address, and the bio. So let's change this icon to call, and this placeholder will say enter your phone number. Okay, let's save this, and now you can see all the inputs. So this will be user.phone number, and this will also set the phone number here. And let's save this. So currently we don't have the phone number, so currently it's showing empty. So this icon will show the location icon, and this will say enter your address. Then we also need to change this address in both places. Then for the last input, we are gonna show the user bio, so we don't need the icon for this. So let's just remove this property, and this will say enter your bio. This will be user.bio, and then we're gonna set the bio here. So let's save this. Now we're gonna make it multi-line, so this will show as a multi-line input. So for that we will set the multi-line property true. Then we're gonna add the container style property. So this will basically override the container styles for the input. So here you can see we have the container, then container styles. These are the default styles. So this will be container style, not styles. So now we can override this and use styles.bio from our style sheet, and this will have a multi-line style. So now if I show you these styles, we have flex direction row, height, align items, and a padding vertical. So you can just copy this. So now after this, we are gonna have a button at the bottom which will update these properties. So let's import our button component, and the title will say update. Then we're gonna pass a loading property which will create in a second, and then when we click on this button, this will trigger an on submit function. So let's close this. Now let's create this loading state, and set loading. By default this is going to be false, and now let's create this on submit function. This is going to be an async function, and inside this, first we're gonna clone the user data from this user state like this. And now let's get the name, phone number, address, and the bio from this data. So first we're gonna make a check if we have all of these values. If not, then we're gonna prompt the user, please fill all the fields. So let's check if we don't have either of these values. Let's not include the image, we will handle the image later. We're gonna use alert to alert the user about a profile, and we will display a message, please fill all the fields, like this, and we will simply return from here. But if we have all of this data, then we're gonna simply start the loading and then implement the user update. So for now, let's just add a comment, update user. Let's save this. Now if I click on this update button, we will see this message because we don't have the data in all the fields. So we'll still see this message. So let's fill all the fields. Now if I click on this, we see the loading. So now it's time to implement the update user function. So let's just refresh, go to profile, edit profile. So let's go into our user service. Let's just copy this function. Let's change this name to update user, and this will receive the user ID and the data that we want to update. So we're gonna call the update function, which will return the error only. So if I go to the Supabase, let me show you how this works. So if I go to the update data, here you can see this function returns an error, but you can call this select function to get the data as well. But we already have the data, so we'll just simply call this update function. So let's remove this, and here just call update function and pass the data that we want to update. Then we're gonna use the eq function. So this will update the data where the id equals this user id, and if we have any error, this will return the error, otherwise this will just return the data. So let's save this, and now let's try to use this function. Let's go into the edit profile, and let's go to edit profile screen. So here we will call this function, and this will give us a response. So let's import the update user function, and we're gonna pass the current user id and then the user data that we want to update. And for now, let's just console log the result to see if you are getting the success response. We also need to stop the loading when the API call is finished, so set loading to false. Let's save this and see if this is working. So open the console, and for now if I click on this, we see this error, but let me just put the dummy data into the fields. I live in New York. I'm just kidding, I'm from Pakistan. So he codes and then update. So here in the console we are getting success as true. So let's see if it's actually updating into the Supabase. So let's go into the users table. Okay, so the data is updated. We can see the bio, the address and the phone number, but the email is still null, and that's because we made a mistake while implementing the trigger and the function, but it's already fixed on the front end, so it's no big issue. So now we need to update the user auth state data as well. So if I go into the auth context, we are gonna update this user state using this set user data function. So let's go into the edit profile. Let's get this function here, set user data. And when we update this user data into the Supabase, we also need to call this function. So this will just update the user data for our local usage. So let's pass the current user values, plus we will also spread the user data that we just updated. And after the update, we need to go back to the previous screen. So router.back. So let's add this router using our use router hook, like this, and let's save this. So this will update the data and move us back to the previous screen. So let me just add the dummy data for my profile and see if this is working, and hit update. So we move to the profile screen, and we can already see the data is updated for the phone, bio and the address. And even if I refresh the app, we'll see this updated data in the profile section. Now if we open the edit profile screen, this will pre-fill all the data that we previously updated. Now we're gonna work on the user image update. So currently if we click on this camera icon, this triggers this on pick image function, which is empty, but we're gonna open the image gallery using this library expo image picker. So this is a library and this opens the images or the videos into the gallery. So first let's install this library using this command. Open the terminal and paste it here. Okay, so it's installed. Now let's close this and minimize this. Now we're gonna import this library first. So let's go into the library documentation here. Let's see for the code snippet. Okay, here. So let's just copy this and import this into our edit profile screen. And first we are gonna open the image gallery. So here is the code snippet for opening the image library. So let's use this. So let's create a result variable. Then let's use this image picker dot launch image library. This is the function, and here we're gonna pass some options. So let's just copy these options here. These are the options, and let's just paste them here. So basically we are telling the image picker to pick all the images with following settings, but we only want to pick the images, and instead of all we can choose the images. Now it will only show the images from the gallery. Then for the quality, let's choose 0.7. So this will reduce the quality a little bit for the picked images. So let's save this, and now if we click on this camera icon, this is opening the image gallery. We can see all the images, so this is working. Now once we get the result from this image picker, we are gonna set the image into the user state. So let's just copy this code. So if the result is not cancelled, then we will set the image into the user. So let's use set user, and let's just copy this result. So first we will need to spread the user data. What happened here? Let's go to edit profile here. Then for the image, we're gonna store the image as the object, not the URI. So let's remove this URI. So because this is the local image, so now here we can make a condition. If the user dot image, if we have the user dot image and the type of the user dot image is an object, that means the user image is picked from the local storage. So in that case we're gonna return the user dot image dot URI. Otherwise we can just get the user image source from the Supabase. So now if we pick any image from the gallery, this image source will show that instead of the default user. So let's choose this image, and it's working. This is showing the local image from the gallery. But if we don't have the local image, then get user image source function will show the default image or the image from the Supabase. So this is how this image picker is working. Now let's start working on the image upload, and first we will need to include the image field into this if statement to make it required. Now let's make a condition here and check if the type of the image is an object. That means a user picked an image from the local gallery, so we need to upload this image. And let's see what we have done so far. So we have implemented the header, the user data fields. Now we're still implementing the update. So now to store the images, we're gonna create a bucket inside the Supabase storage. So let's go into the storage and then create a new bucket. Let's name it uploads, but you can name it up whatever you want. So let's make this public and hit save. So here we can just create folders and then files inside them, but before that we will need to create some policies to create and read data from this bucket. So let's create the new policy. You can get start quickly, or you can choose the custom way to create the policies. So just click all the operations, select insert, update or delete. Then let's name it allow all auth users. Then for the target roles, just select authenticated. So all the authenticated users will be able to perform all of these operations, and everything looks all right. So let's save the policy. So now we'll be able to upload any data into this. So let's go into our application, and first we will need to create an upload function. So let's go into the image service, and this is user service, image service, and let's export a function upload file. And this will be an async function which will receive three parameters. So folder name, where we want to store the image, and then the file URI for the file data, and if the file is image or not. So by default this will be true. So later we can also upload the video files using this. So let's create a try catch block, and if we have any error, we'll just console log the error as file upload error. Then we're gonna return a success false response with a message that will say could not upload media, like this. So now we need to get the file name, and that will also include the folder name. So basically inside the Supabase storage, in the bucket we can create folders. So let's create images, and when we save files inside this, we will need to pass this key as images slash the file name. Then we'll be able to get this image, but the folders can be created at runtime, so we don't need to create them now. So now let's create a file name, and we will get this using a function, and let's call it get file path. And we're gonna use the folder name, and if the file is image or not, because the file name will also include the extension. So we'll need to check if we want to have the image extension or the video. So we will receive the folder name and is image property, and here we'll just return a string with a folder name and the file name. So backticks and then slash. First we'll use the folder name, then after the slash we are gonna return the file name, but this will be a random string plus the file extension. So this whole file path will be slash folder name slash file name. So for this random string, we're gonna use the get time function on this date object. This will return us the seconds, and this will be unique every time for every file. Then after this, we're gonna add the file extension using is image property. So if is image is true, that means we are uploading a PNG file or the image file. But if it's not, then we are uploading the MP4 file. So if we are uploading the file into the profiles folder, then it will return profiles slash the second string plus PNG extension, like this. And if you're uploading any file into the images folder, then it will return images slash seconds, and these seconds are basically coming from this get time function, then .png extension. So this was just for demonstration. I hope this makes sense. So this will return us the file path. So now let's see how we can use this file name and the file URI to upload the image into Supabase. So let's go into the Supabase storage service. Let's see the documentation, storage, and we need to upload a file. So let's click on this. So here, if I zoom in, you can see we're using the avatar bucket. Then public slash avatar is basically the same thing that I explained earlier. Public is the folder and avatar1.png is the file name. So this is how this will work. But there is one more thing. So if you see on the side, for React Native, using the blob data file or the form data does not work. So we'll have to upload the file using array buffer from base64 file data. Currently we only have a URI for the local file, so we will have to convert it to base64. Then we will need to decode it into an array buffer. So first let's see how we can convert the file into base64. So let's open the console, and we're gonna install another library, and the library is called expo file system. Here is library. So let's just copy this command and install this quickly. So if you see the usage or the documentation, you will find how you can convert or use this library. Okay, so first let me just copy the import statement here. So this is how you import the file system. Then uh, when we get the file name, after this we are gonna get the file base 64 data. So let's create a variable and use the file system, and we can use a function to read the files as string. So read as string async, then we're gonna pass the file URI, and we're gonna pass some options. So we need to specify the encoding in which we want to read this file. So file system dot encoding type dot base 64. So this will read this file as base 64 data. So now this way we will have the base 64 data. Now we need to convert this into the image data, sorry, the array buffer. So we'll need to decode this to array buffer, and for this we will need to install that library that Supabase suggested. So let's open the terminal and go to Supabase, and the library is base64 array buffer. Let's copy this and let's just quickly install this. Okay, so it's installed. Now let's use the decode function from this library, this one, and let's just minimize this terminal and let's close the second one. So we're gonna pass the file base64 data into this function, and this is going to convert it and give us an array buffer for this file. And now we can use this data to upload the file to Supabase. So we're gonna use the Supabase storage functionality to upload the file like this, and this will give us a response, and we're gonna get a data and an error property on this response. So let's use Supabase dot let's move to the next line, dot storage, this one, and then we're gonna call the from function. So here we can pass the bucket name. We already have a bucket called uploads, but if you have created with a different name, you will need to pass that here. Then upload function, here we need to pass the file name which we have here. So this includes the folder name and the file name with an extension. So then we need to add the image data. So first the file name, then file data, and then some options. So now we're gonna specify this content type function, which is very important because I didn't use this before and I was not able to show the image or the video. So based on the file type we need to specify this, and for the images it will be images slash static for all the images, and for videos it will be video slash static. Let's also add these options as cache control and upsert as false. So if I add upsert as false, this will make sure it will create a new file every time we upload a file. So that's fine. So let's save this, and now if we will check if we have any error, then we will return an error response. So let's return, actually let's just return this response because it's the same error response. And if we don't get any error, that means the file is uploaded successfully, and in that case we're gonna return a success response. And we have a path property on the data that we got from Supabase, so we're gonna return that in data property, and we will store this into database so that we can get the file using this path. And this path basically contains the folder name and the file name. So let's console log this data when we get it from the Supabase, and we can see this dummy response here. So here we have response somewhere here. So here you can see data contains a path, and this contains the folder and the file name. So this function is complete, and hopefully this will work as expected. So let's move to the edit profile, and here let's use this function. So this will give us an image response, and let's use this function upload file. We're gonna store all the profile images into the profiles folder. So folder name will be profiles, file URI will be image.uri, and is image will be true because we're uploading an image. Then we will check if the image response dot success is true. Then we need to set the user data dot image property that we have here to the path that we got from the Supabase. So image response dot data like this, and if the success is false, that means the image was not uploaded, and in that case we will just set the user data dot image to null. You can also throw an error from here, but I will do this. So let's save this and see if this is working. So let's choose an image. Let's choose this one and then hit update. There is the loading and we move to profile screen. So let's see in the console. There is this updated user, and in the image property you can see there is the path, and this is the data for file upload response. We have full path, the ID, and then the path property. So hopefully the image got uploaded. So let's see into the storage. Let's refresh this. So here we have a new folder, profiles, and if I click on this we have a new file, and this is the file that we uploaded. So it got uploaded successfully. So let's see into the users table. If it's uploaded there, then hopefully we'll get a path here, and yes we do. So here is the path for that file. So now we can use this to get the image and then show it into our profile section in here. So let's just minimize this, and there is a console log into the upload file function. So let's just remove this and let's save this. So the image is updated into the auth user state, and we can use this to display here. So this is how we are displaying the gallery image. And if we go into this function, this is where we need to use the Supabase file URL for the images. So let's just copy the URL for this uploaded image, and we need to return this URI here, but let's create a new function that will return the Supabase file URL, and let's call it get Supabase file URL, and this will receive a file path, and it's the same path that we stored into the users table. So we will check if we have the file path. In that case we will return an object with a URI, and we'll just paste the copied URL here. And if we don't have a file path, we'll just simply return null. So in this URL at the end you will see we have the file path that we stored into the users table. So profiles slash the file. So you can see this into the image that we have in the user. So we need to replace this with the file path that we pass to this function. So let's use file path here, and if you notice we have this string at the starting. This is the same string as the project URL. So if I go into the constants, you will see Supabase URL, it's the same string. So we can just replace this. So let's remove this and use the Supabase URL here, and this will work the same. Now let's use this function, and let's just return this function here, and we need to pass the image path to this function. And if I save this, now this will get us the remote file that we uploaded, and we can see this into the profile section because we use this function in the profile screen. So let's go into the edit screen, and here in this code, basically this will show the local image if we pick from the gallery. But if we don't have the local image, then this function will return us the Supabase file if we have any. Otherwise it will just return the default user image. So let's go into the edit profile screen and see if the local image is still working. Currently it's showing the image that we uploaded, and if I choose a new image from the gallery, let's choose this one, and now it will show the local image from the gallery. So everything seems to be working all right. Now let's go to the profile screen, and I think we don't need to change anything here. So here we're using the avatar component, and we are passing the user dot image to this component, and inside this component we are using the function as get user image source, and this is already set up, so we don't need to change anything here. Now let's try to update the user details without uploading the image and see if this is working. So I'll just update this to updated, then hit update. So the name is updated and we can still see the image. So now we can just remove this updated text. And now let's try to upload a new image for this profile. um, let's use this one and then hit update. Give it a second. There we go. So we can see the new profile image, and even if I refresh the app, you will still see this new profile image. So this is it for this video, and in the next video we will implement a rich text editor and we will create new posts. So see you in the next one.